So I have to ask you, because there's a Canucks game tonight, what are your predictions? What do you think the score will be?
You know, the fact that they're down 3 games tonight, none, I truly believe that Vancouver will win.
Why do you think so?
Because they'll be trying really harder than they've ever tried, because it's do or die.
And you've seen those situations before where teams have come back?
And teams in a terrible situation like the Canucks are, they work harder. They're more disciplined and devoted because there's no second chance.
Oh. What do you think the score will be?
I would say 5-2 for Vancouver.
I like it. What teams are you cheering for right now? Toronto?
Yeah, well, I have season tickets with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and so I hope for them naturally.
What do you think their chances are?
Slim, nil, and none.
But you're optimistic about the Canucks. What, you know, can you be a little more optimistic about Toronto?
No, they're a good team, but not that good.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, what do you think of North Van? What's your impression?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Every time I come here, it's beautiful because the weather, first of all, and the geography of everything, like the trees and the hills and the water. It's just beautiful. Just beautiful. And the people, too. They're very friendly. It's very noticeable.
You're in town for the Canadian launch of North American Occupational Health and Safety Week. Can you explain how you were injured at work?
Well, in 1964, we were pulling in underground cable, and it was going off of a big reel into a manhole on a street, and under the ground to the next block, the next street. And as it was coming off the reel, to start for this cable, which is rounded at the end, to start to go into the hole, it got caught. And the supervisor kept waving the flag, take it up, because it wasn't moving, it just stopped. But I could see the back of the truck going down, and I could see white smoke coming out of the truck, so I knew that the winch line, which was in under the street, was being pulled. I knew that, but nothing was happening here. And I remember I was crouching like this, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I remember, I'm laying on my stomach, and everything is spinning counterclockwise. Still remember that. The frame came flying out of the manhole when it broke loose. Hit me in the back of the head. I had a construction helmet on. It split my helmet, fractured my skull. I'm totally deaf because of it, my right ear. I have a permanent hissing in my right ear, so I can see shelter your ear 24 hours a day. I was off work close to a year, and then I went back, worked in the office for a couple of years. Then finally I got back to normal, and I went out to be an installer.
But that accident, it resulted in you also being in a coma, is that right?
Oh yeah. But I was lucky that I had a construction helmet on. If I didn't have the helmet, I wouldn't be alive today.
This week you also spoke about the 14-year-old boy who collapsed at Terry Fox Secondary of cardiac arrest, and the importance of defibrillators. Maybe you can tell me a bit about why you're an advocate of these defibrillators.
Well, I never knew about them years and years ago, of course, but I know how effective they are. That 14-year-old boy, he's alive today because somebody had the mentality to put these defibrillators in the schools, and the teachers used that defibrillator and brought that 14-year-old boy back to life. Just think, he was dead for 7 minutes. He was gone from this earth, and now he's going to live a life like you and I.
So hockey, it's an occupation for some people, and I mean there are some dangerous aspects to hockey. What do you think about fighting in hockey?
I think it's senseless.
Do you?
It's so silly. If you wanna fight, be a boxer. Hockey is supposed to be a game of skill and enjoyment. That's not enjoyment. To see someone standing on the ice holding someone's and pounding him in the face and knocking his teeth out. What enjoyment is there in watching that?
Do you feel that since Wayne played, it's become more violent? Has there been a shift, or is it as violent, or has it
Just as violent. I don't think it's got any worse. But it still exists. You see it. A second's notice, just like that. There's a fight.
A kid said to his parents, "I don't want to play hockey anymore." I mean, what's your advice to that parent?
You can't force that boy to play. Then find out what he wants to do. Because he should do something other than going to school. And he's got to have some kind of an interest in life. There has to be. To find some interest. Doesn't have to be hockey. Could be baseball, and it doesn't have to be baseball. Could be some other things like playing a violin or a guitar or something.
I think that body checking is introduced at too young of a level right now.
Yeah.
At age 11, some players in Canada are body checking. In your opinion, is that too young?
I take it out. Yeah.
What level do you think it should be introduced?
Maybe at 14 or 15, yeah. 11 is, because a lot of kids at 11 are very small, and those same kids at 13 and 14 grow a lot. So they're back to normal.
Right.
With the other kids.
So it's a level playing field.
Yeah.
If you don't introduce it to them when they're, say, 11 or 12, as they get older, they might not be able to stand up to the other players. Or their development might be hindered.
That's possible, but I think you could teach them how to take body checks. You could teach them. But you don't go into the boards with your head down like that. That's for sure.
Was there talk of concussions, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
Not like today.
Not like
Definitely
today.
not. Definitely not.
Now there's more education.
Yep.
Yeah. What have you learned about concussions?
Well, that it's life affecting forever and ever.
Because you had the ultimate concussion.
Yeah, I know about that. See.
Yeah.
And a boy who's had a few concussions in minor hockey and midget hockey, he'll never have a chance to play professional. Never have a chance. And you'll find this interesting when I'm at the rinks. Kids 9, 10, 11, 12 years old say, "Could I get your autograph, Mr. Gretzky?" I'll say, "Sure, what's your name?" "Billy," and I'll start writing the name. As soon as I start writing, they'll say, "Would you mind just signing it, W. Gretzky, please?" So that they could say it's Wayne's autograph. There you are. I have them pre-done. And then all I have to do is write their first name in. So I could do 50 people in 2 minutes.
Do people stop you on the street?
Oh yeah.
All the time?
That's why I carried it in my pocket. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been in cities where a bus will stop. And a bus driver, cross my heart, not lying.
Yeah.
Bus driver said, "Mr. Gretzky, get your autograph for my kids, please?" So I run over there and I'll sign autographs. Oh yeah, a bus driver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you say that the fans are still fascinated by Wayne's childhood home, by your home? Do you still give tours to people?
Oh yeah, people come past our home all the time, and sometimes. At one time we used to have garbage cans like this. And we didn't have the green bags, and we put the garbage out. People would actually come, lift the lids up, go through the garbage can, see if they can find some kind of souvenir.
Oh.
They don't now because it's in green bags, tied up. But they'll come and they'll come out of the car and go on the front lawn and take handfuls of grass.
I read that story about the woman.
True.
She was a Marine, or she was
True.
was in the Army,
Yeah.
and then she apologized years later, and then you mailed her a piece of grass.
Yeah.
I read that story.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you have any other stories like that of just really ultimate Wayne Gretzky fans coming to your house? And
Well, they'll just come to the house and they'll knock on the door. Sometimes a bus will be out there, and there'll be someone at the door and say, "Can I help you?" I said, "Okay, we come and see the trophies, Mr. Gretzky." And I look out and there's a bus outside.
So is it part of a bus tour?
Oh yeah.
It's part of a
But they're just going through Brantford.
Oh, okay.
So they detour and come past the home.
Oh, okay.
That's incredible.
Wow. But how many people would you say that you see in a week then at your house?
In a week? Oh, anywhere from 15 to 60.
Wow. This time that you and Wayne got together, what did you do?
Oh, just talk. He's so busy. He goes from one function to another too. So when he comes to this part of the country, he's gone from one thing to another, one thing to another. And if he goes in public, he just has a big lineup of people to get autographs. Oh. Yeah.
But
so you don't get the chance to talk to him. I remember one of the favorite memories I have was when I still was working at Bell Canada and he was playing. And there's 2 hours difference between Edmonton and Brantford. And it's 12:30 at night, 10:30 in Edmonton. And I always waited to see, we didn't have TV coverage like we do today when Wayne played. And I always waited to see what the scores were. And they were playing Philadelphia that night, I think it was. Anyways, it was 12:30. The phone rang. I said, "Hello, Dad, it's Wayne." I said, "How'd you guys do?" He said, "I did it, Dad. I did it. I did it. I did it." I said, "Wayne, what?" "I did it, Dad. I did it. I did it." "Wayne, what?" "I did it." He's so excited. I never heard him that excited. "What, Wayne?" "I did it, Dad. I did it. I did it." I said, "Wayne, what?" "I got 5 tonight. 50 and 39. 5 goals that night. 50 goals in 39 games, which was a new record. And I remember he caught me by surprise, and I said to him, instantly, I said, "What took you so long?" And then to answer your question, the one thing I'll always remember, he then said, "Dad, I gotta go. I told the press I had to make an important phone call before we had the press conference, so I gotta go, Dad." In other words, he thought of his family before anything or anybody else.
That's a very great message.
Yeah, so I'll always remember that. Always.
That's a great message. You have a very strong
He didn't
family.
have the press conference and then call us. He called us first.
Do you find that sometimes the attention is so focused on Wayne that people sometimes forget what do you wish people would ask you when they see you? When they see you, they probably talk to you about Wayne.
Oh, that's all.
But what do you wish they would ask you?
Well, in a roundabout way, I always remind them in one way or another that there's other brothers and a sister. Wayne has a brother, Keith, who lives in Paris, which is 5 miles away from where I live.
What does he do in Paris?
He scouts for the Boston Bruins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Brent is an Ontario Provincial Police Officer.
Okay.
He lives in Brantford. And Glenn works for the Wayne Gretzky Foundation. He lives in Brantford also. And my daughter, Kim, she lives on the farm I grew up on. The only one who's away is Wayne. He's in LA.
Did Wayne ever want to quit hockey? Was there ever a point where he didn't want to play anymore?
No, he was totally obsessed with it at all times. And just to show you how obsessed he was, I remember he was 10 years old. 10 years old. And I had a rink in the backyard with 2 lights. And his mother, Phyllis, was very sick that night, very sick. She went to bed at 8 o'clock. Wayne was in the backyard. And he'd go out there for hours at a time by himself. And he'd have containers, like Javix bottles, plastic ones or things like that. And he staggered them on the ice and he'd go in and out of them. And I had a net at that end of the rink and a net here. And he would shoot at a target hanging in the net off a string. He would move the targets to different parts of the net. Yep. That's why, as you know, he was very accurate.
Yes.
Didn't have that hard of a shot. It was pretty hard, but he was very accurate. And that's why he did that all those years. And anyways, he was skating there one night. Phyllis went to bed 8 o'clock. And I watched the 11 o'clock news. Then I watched the 11 o'clock sports, 11:30 sports. It was 20 to 12. And my wife Phyllis came walking out of the bedroom. She'd gone to bed at 8 o'clock. She was sick. Walter put her hands on her hips, standing for me. "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "Are you okay, Phyllis? Don't get smart with me. What do you think you're doing?" I said, "Phyllis, are you okay? You heard me. Don't get smart." I said, and I got up and I shook her. I thought she was sleepwalking. "What is he still doing outside at 20 to 12? Neighbors are going to think we're crazy." And I totally forgot about it.
I don't think anyone thinks you guys are crazy.
But to answer your question, that's how obsessed Wayne was with the sport. You didn't have to tell him to go out and practice. You had to tell him to come inside and you had enough.
Walter, it's it's really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for the interview.
Well, thank you for your kind words all the time. Thank you very much. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here today.